Welcome to Whispering Loudly, the award-winning Workshop Whisperer podcast, as featured by Apple, with Rachel Evans, the #1 automotive business coach in the aftermarket. Thanks to Platinum sponsor Podium, Titanium sponsor Mechanic Desk, and Diamond sponsor Ventavid.
And we're super excited to be joined today by Joey Wright. Joey is a well-renowned NBL coach here in Australia with accolades galore. Joey has won more games as a coach than any other NBL coach, has been crowned NBL Coach of the Year, not just once, but 3 times, and most impressively is the only coach in the league's history to take the last place team to the grand final championship game. Joey has acted as head coach for many Australian NBL teams, most recently the Adelaide 36ers, where he took all of them to great heights through his leadership, passion and commitment to the game and the players. We can't wait to see how he transforms your business today. Thank you so much, Joey, and welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me on the podcast, guys.
Thanks so much, Joey, and welcome. That is quite a fabulous intro there. What else would you like us to know about you?
Well, the things that are probably way more important than any of those things is the fact that I'm a father of 4, happily engaged to a beautiful young lady. So I'm about to get married soon.
Congratulations.
But I am thank you. I am a father of 4, and those 4, as anyone knows that has kids on this podcast, is the most important job that I'll ever do. And hopefully I'll do that right. I'm still guessing. The 14-year-old's got me guessing whether I'm doing that right or not.
Yes. So today on the podcast, as you know, we help auto repair shop owners to achieve business success. And we know that you are, obviously with your success in your field, a bit of an expert in leadership. So what is leadership to you?
Leadership, sometimes I think people confuse it with leaders are supposed to be the perfect example and do everything right. And I think that's, kind of the opposite of leadership. I let my people know right away that I'm imperfect. We will lose games this year because of me and not because of you. I am flawed, but I will give you my passion. I will lead by example. I will never ask you to do anything that I'm not willing to do. So, I'm just trying to be real with them, be someone that they can relate to, but I definitely lead by example without a doubt.
And I guess coaching in elite sports is, it's kind of an ultimate form of leadership. Can you tell us about your journey into that and, how you became the leader that you are?
It's interesting because as a kid, up until the age of probably 16, I was extremely introverted. Probably had some good reasons. I was dyslexic. I was a bit overweight, and I wasn't very good at sports. So I didn't have a lot to talk about. And, as a result, I just didn't have many leadership skills. But as I got better in sport, I started looking around the room and just saying, this needs to be said, and no one's saying it. The one thing I've always had, no matter where I was positioned at in life, is that I've never really been afraid of what people thought of me. And so, if I had a flaw, if I had a situation where I needed to say something, I just put it out there. And so I learned to speak up in environments where people would say what needed to be said. I mean, I think a lot of us identify things, but we go, I don't want to say that because it's going to cause a bad moment. I feel like you always have to say it. And so in doing that, a lot of coaches identified me just from on that one thing along, and the fact that I was a hard worker, that he'd be a great leader for our team. And so every team I played on, at some point in time, I ended up being captain or co-captain of those teams. And so as I got further and further into sport and got into professional sport and played overseas in different places, I thought that I would be a coach. I didn't know, because I knew you didn't make a lot of money and I didn't want to rely on winning games for income. So I spent 7 years building a real estate company and didn't coach at all at that particular time after my professional playing career. And I decided to go into coaching once I felt like I was financially viable, that I didn't have to really live on that coaching salary, and then therefore not make decisions based on keeping that job, make decisions based on doing better at the job. So I had that luxury. I did that, and I think through a combination of just failures, I was able to, become a leader.
Yeah.
Join our free Facebook group, Your Profitable Auto Repair Shop, and join in on the conversation with auto repair shop owners just like you globally.
What do you think that has been your proudest coaching achievement?
It's probably not one thing, and I'm not saying that as if I've done so many things. It's just the one thing that I am proud of is my relationship with my past players. That is probably what means most to me. I've coached around 240 players. Probably 220 of those players I could call up right now and just have a civil conversation with them and keep up with their life. And a lot of them call me and tell me, I'm having a kid, I'm about to buy a house. What do you think? Just conversations like that. And that's probably what I'm most proud of.
I think that that's really relevant to our listeners too, even though, we're talking about two completely different work environments. The relationship that you have with your team, we want to be able to part ways with a handshake. Not everything has to end in conflict.
No, I understood mainly because I was a player, and a lot of your warriors and the guys in your program were probably on the tools at one point, and now they may be running the place. But if they remember back to, when they were on tools, you have to make decisions that are best for you as an individual, because that career may be over at some point. So you have to make decisions best for you, and the company has to make decisions best for them. And if both parties understand that, usually you can walk away. I've had guys that I really, really, really love having on my team decide to go to another team. And although it's disappointing, I shook their hand, and one guy told him, "Hey, for that kind of money, I'll drive you to the airport. You can't pass it down." And me and him, we remain friends to this day. And I really wanted him on my team because he's a very good player, but I couldn't pay him half the money that he was about to get paid. So I just try to realize and understand that, people are going to come and go for different reasons. Try to be mature about those reasons. Now, the other 20 that I probably couldn't call, they wouldn't, we didn't part on great terms, because it wasn't because I didn't treat them like a human being, I didn't treat them like fair. It was probably more the fact that they wanted something unfair.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't give it to them.
Yep.
So that's probably more.
And I think, as leaders, it's about holding our boundaries when we recognise that something is unfair as well. And, feeling like it's okay to part ways when we don't see eye to eye anymore.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've coached some very talented players with very big names. And, no matter what, I always get the question on how are you going to handle them? And I just say I'm going to handle them just like I handle everybody else. And I think that's what a leader does. Like, I don't change our core values because of talent. And trust me, that hurts some really talented players' feelings sometimes.
Yeah.
I was giving an example to my daughter the other day about her stepping up in her team and maybe saying some things to some players that the coach won't say things to that need to be said. And I gave an example when I coached in Brisbane, and this was my very first coaching. I was the youngest NBL coach in history at the time, so I was only about 36 years old. And I actually had players that were older than me. I had 2 players on the team older than me. But they came to me, my leadership group came to me, and they said, "We feel like you don't give us enough respect, and you treat us like you treat the guys that are, rookies or have been around." And I just said, look, as far as human nature, I'm going to always treat everybody the same. So I'm never going to give one person more love because they are a better player, have been around longer, or make more money. That's not going to happen. And I said, our core values, I'm not going to change those because you've been around longer, you make more money, or you're a better player. That's going to happen. Now, physically, if you need a day off because you're 40 and another guy's 22, I get that. And I've already stated that. You guys can come in and say, you need a rest, and you can get a rest. I said, but if you ask me to change the other 2 situations, I won't.
Yeah.
And one of the guys just got up and walked out. He was just really upset by the fact that I would not give him a pass in some of those other areas. No, I'm going to critique you on the court the same as I would critique everyone else. And that took a lot. The owner actually came to me at that particular time and said, if you can't get along with him, he's a better player, you're going. I said, okay, if he can't get along with me, then I guess I got to go, because I'm not going to change my values. And it was a really, I would say, come to Jesus moment for me as a coach, because I was only 36 at the time, and I could have been fired for standing my ground.
Yep.
But luckily, the other three in the leadership group said, no, he's exactly right, and that's exactly what we need to make sure that player adheres to the team rules.
Want to find out how the Workshop Whisperer team can put your auto repair shop on the path to business success? Head to www.workshopwhisperer.com/whispering loudly to claim your free workshop success session with the team.
So is there a particular time where you felt like your leadership didn't live up to your own standards or the expectations of others?
No, because leadership has no quantitative value to it. Like, if you win games, that don't mean you're a great leader. If you lose games, that don't mean you're a bad leader. As a leader, I've always set the example and followed the example of what needs to be done in every situation. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't do that. Now, does that mean I did a great job of coaching? No. I mean, I've done some horrible jobs of coaching.
Yeah.
But as far as leadership and adhering to the values that I express to them and that I carry out, always. Not even a question.
So if we're to offer a piece of advice to our auto repair shop owners out there listening to the podcast who are actively working on, really owning their leadership and really taking charge of their teams, what would be your advice to them? Because a lot of them feel unsure in the beginning as to whether they've even got the skills to be able to lead a team.
In my opinion, initially be vulnerable, be the hardest worker in the room, be the most knowledgeable person, so study as much as you possibly can. If you do those things, you'll gain the respect of your peers, the people who are looking up to you. And then once you got their respect, you can command anything. And so it's getting to that point where you want to command respect by being you're not always going to be the smartest in every subject, but if you study every subject and know exactly what you don't know, that's important. That's just as important as knowing what you do know. But if you're upfront about, hey, I have no idea about this, who in this room does? You? Okay, great. Talk to us about it because I can't talk to you guys about this situation.
Yep.
If you're that confident about not knowing as you are about knowing, that'll gain a lot of respect. If they know that you're the first one in that shed and the last one to leave, you're willing to sweep floors. I clean the floor every morning before practice. We had a manager who was supposed to do that. He was not on time most of the time, and I didn't want our players walking on the dirty court. So I grabbed a broom, and I was told him, don't worry about it, I'll do it. And they thought, oh, you're a head coach, you shouldn't be sweeping the floor. But I want my players to understand I'm going to do whatever I can in my power to make sure they get the best opportunity to be successful, and they need a clean floor so they can move, they don't slip, they don't fall, hurt themselves. And what else would I be doing? Just standing around waiting for practice to start? I might as well do something with my time.
Yep.
So I just want to be the hardest working, most knowledgeable person in the room, study the most, and gain the respect of the players. And then once you do that, you can probably push them over the line if you have their respect.
Yep. So hardworking, be visible, be as confident with what you don't know as you are with what you do know, and earn their trust and respect. Wonderful advice. Thanks so much, Joey. It has been our absolute pleasure to have you on Whispering Loudly today.
No problem. Thanks for having me on. Hopefully I helped someone. But thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much. And if you would like us to answer a question of yours about how to run your auto repair shop, please email us with your question to admin@workshopwhisperer.com.
Thanks for listening to Whispering Loudly, the award-winning Workshop Whisperer podcast, as featured by Apple with Rachel Evans, the #1 automotive business coach in the aftermarket. Thanks to Platinum sponsor Podium, Titanium sponsor Mechanic Desk, and Diamond sponsor Ventavid.